Think about the last time you had a conversation online that felt genuinely human. Not a comment that could have been written by anyone. Not a reply that answered your question without really answering your question. Not a post that felt like it was designed to make you feel something without saying anything real. Think about the last time you read something online and thought, a real person wrote this. A real person with a real life was sitting somewhere and decided to say this specific thing. How long ago was that? Because there is a theory, and the theory says it wasn't your imagination. In early 2021, a user on a small internet forum called Agora Road's Macintosh Cafe posted a thread. The title was, Dead Internet Theory. Most of the internet is fake. The username was Illuminati Pirate. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody knows now. But what they wrote, before ChatGPT existed, before AI-generated images were mainstream, before most people had heard the phrase large language model, described something that millions of people immediately recognized as true. The post argued that the internet had died sometime around 2016. Not literally. The servers were still running, the websites were still loading, the feeds were still scrolling. But something essential had changed. The genuine, chaotic human mess that had made the early internet feel alive. The arguments, the weird personal websites, the communities built around obscure interests, the sense that you were talking to actual people on the other side of the screen was gone, replaced by something that looked like the internet, sounded like the internet, but wasn't. Illuminati Pirate's post was treated as paranoid speculation, fringe, conspiracy, the kind of thing you dismiss. Then the data started coming in. In 2021, cybersecurity firm Imperva published their annual Bad Bot report. Bad bots, automated programs designed to mimic human behavior, accounted for 42.3% of all internet traffic that year. Not 5%, not 10%, 42.3%. By 2023, that number had risen to 49.6%. Think about that for a moment. If you opened a website right now and 10 actions were happening in the background, clicks, views, comments, shares, nearly 5 of them would not be coming from a human being. Almost half of everything that happens on the internet is not a person. Cloudflare, one of the largest internet infrastructure companies in the world, confirmed similar findings. Nearly 1/3 of all internet traffic over the past 12 months came from bots, and that was before the current generation of AI. Here is where the story gets uncomfortable, because bots have existed since the beginning of the internet. Spam bots, view bots, follower bots, crude, obvious, easily detected. What Illuminati Pirate was describing in 2021 was something different. Something that had started around 2016 and had been quietly accelerating ever since. Content farms, not bots pretending to be people. Actual systems, networks of websites, social media accounts, and forums, designed to generate content at scale, distribute it algorithmically, and optimize it for engagement. Not for truth, not for quality, not for human connection, for engagement. For the metrics that platforms reward, for the signals that push content into feeds, for the numbers that determine what gets seen and what disappears. The content wasn't written by robots with no understanding. It was generated by systems that had learned, from billions of examples of real human writing, exactly what makes a person stop scrolling, exactly what makes a person angry, exactly what makes a person feel seen, exactly what makes a person share something without thinking about whether it's real. In August 2024, a journalist noticed that bylines appearing in Wired and at least 5 other major publications belonged to a writer named Margaux Blanchard. The articles were well written. The byline had a profile picture. The author had a consistent voice. Margaux Blanchard did not exist. The author was AI. The articles had been published, edited, fact-checked, distributed, read by real people who had no idea. That same year, researchers documented AI-generated personas participating in Reddit discussions, posting, replying, upvoting, building reputations, indistinguishably from human users in communities that had no idea. Not bots, not spam, personas. Entities with consistent identities, coherent opinions, posting histories that stretched back months. That had never been a person. Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI. He built ChatGPT. He is, by most measures, one of the people most responsible for the current state of AI-generated content. In 2025, he posted this on X. I never took the dead internet theory that seriously, but it seems like there are really a lot of LLM-run Twitter accounts now. Alexis Ohanian, the co-founder of Reddit, posted this publicly. You all prove the point that so much of the internet is now just dead. This whole dead internet theory, whether it's botted, whether it's quasi-AI, LinkedIn slop. The co-founder of Reddit calling the internet dead. Out loud, with his name attached. Here is the part that Illuminati Pirate wrote in 2021 that nobody wanted to think about. They weren't just saying that bots were generating content. They were saying that the content was being generated with a purpose, that the systems producing it, whether corporate content farms, political influence operations, or advertising infrastructure, were optimizing for a specific outcome. Not to inform you, not to connect you, not to give you something real, to keep you on the platform, to shape what you believe is true, to make you feel like you're participating in a conversation when you're actually watching a performance designed for an audience of algorithms. Illuminati Pirate called this gaslighting at scale. The internet wasn't just empty. It was performing fullness. It was designed to feel like people so that you would keep behaving like a person who is surrounded by other people. And here is where it stops sounding ridiculous. Because the mechanism that Illuminati Pirate described in 2021 is now documented, measurable, and accelerating. AI models are trained on internet content. AI models then generate more internet content. That content is scraped to train new AI models. Those models generate more content. Researchers have a name for this. They call it model collapse, the process by which AI systems trained on AI-generated data begin to degrade, losing the diversity and specificity that only comes from human experience. The internet is feeding itself. Real human writing, specific, personal, contradictory, weird, is being diluted by content that was generated from previous content that was generated from previous content that was, somewhere at the origin, generated by a person. How many generations back is that person now? There is a number that researchers cite when they try to project forward. Based on current growth trends, bots will account for the majority of internet traffic by the late 2020s. Not half. The majority. More of what happens online will be non-human than human. The question that Illuminati Pirate asked in 2021, not as a prediction, but as an observation about what had already happened, was this. When did you last have a conversation online that you are certain was with a real person? Not probably. Not likely. Certain. The internet didn't die overnight. It didn't announce itself. There was no moment when someone turned off the lights and said, "This is the end of the human web." It happened the way most things change, gradually, then suddenly, in the background, while you were looking at your feed. 2016 was not the end. It was the beginning of the end of something that most people still haven't noticed is gone. The conversations that felt real. The communities that felt like places. The sense that on the other side of the screen was another person, uncertain, specific, alive, who was also just trying to figure things out. That person is still there, somewhere, but finding them is getting harder every year. And the thing that replaced them is getting better at pretending to be them.